I recreated OG Fortnite almost 2 years ago, but the time when most people play that game and when I had the most fun was in Chapter 2. That's when I went to high school, everyone was locked inside, and we could escape reality by jumping straight into that new island. So I want to once again combine my two favorite games and build Fortnite Chapter 2 in my hardcore world. My favorite Fortnite season of all time was Chapter 2 Season 2, so I'm gonna recreate that one. That season brought 5 new locations and a bunch of mechanics that changed Fortnite forever. But before we get into that, I first need to build the island. So let's grab some blocks and voila, that's how big the build will be. It's pretty massive. But for the rest of the build, we'll need a lot more stuff. Luckily, when I was building the GTA 5 island, I built this dirt farm, so we can check that off the list. But as you can see, this island isn't only dirt. We also need some stone, moss, snow, mud, and sandstone. The problem being that I don't have most of these items. I can get stone pretty easily by just AFKing this stone generator. For moss, I have this farm, so that's pretty easy too. Sandstone can be gathered with this sand duper, and snow with this snow duper. The only challenging item was mud, as farming it is way too annoying, meaning I had to go to a swamp and gather all the mud by hand. I'm also gonna get some grass so that I can place it while building and it will spread onto the whole island. And after only a week of preparation, I'm ready to start building. But how did we even get the map? I asked Trippy to find me a 3D model and a height map of the Chapter 2 map, and here's what he said. I have searched the darkest corners of the internet, and I found a GitHub of old Fortnite height and normal maps, and I have created a base that is infinitely more detailed and accurate compared to the first version. So I got this. From afar it looks about right, but when you get closer, you can see it used melons for grass, lapis for water, and so on. So I turned it all into stone, then I used the naturalized command from World Edit, and now it looks kinda correct. Except we lost the swamp, the beaches, and snow area, so I had to paint it by hand using World Edit again. And after recreating the Season 7 event by accident, I made it more smooth by hand, which was by far the most time consuming part. But now that that's explained, we can actually start building. Wait, I actually need those. First, I built the swamp section to use all my mud. Then I continued up north, filling the areas for iconic locations like Holly Hedges, Sweaty Sands, and Pleasant Park. While preparing this map in Creative, I made sure to put stone everywhere where water will go, so that will make the next step easier. If you haven't caught that in the intro, this island means a lot to me. While playing Chapter 2, I came up with my Zenith branding and started making gaming videos for the first time. So far in this project, I felt extremely excited to do this. I was having so much fun that I often forgot to do any commentary. That's why that intro was so quick. But later when we focus on specific builds, I'm gonna give them more time. And that's the whole base of the island done. Wow, that's the quickest I've ever been done with this part. I wrote down 34 things I have to do to finish this island. And these can be split into 3 categories. 18 named locations, 10 POIs, and 6 details. And I'm gonna do it all in alphabetical order, because I'm sure that's also how Epic Games made Fortnite. Alright, so Alan, you do apples. Brian, you're tasked with beaches. And finally, Eddie, you did the game engine. Anyways, first, Apres Ski. A dance club featuring a bar, a dance floor, and a campfire outside. It plays music at all times, and if you hit the music player, the song changes. Let's start with the dance floor. So first I'm gonna add this little redstone circuit and power it for a split second. Now I'm gonna place these observers on top, and finally redstone lamps to create this cool dance floor. Now if I grab a bunch of oak, I can build the staircase and a base around it hiding the redstone. Now this fenced out area, now I'm gonna build these walls using oak logs, and finally strip it all. Then I added this bar, and now all that's left is the roof. And voila! Now I can just add this campfire, and Apres Ski is 100% done. Next up alphabetically is bone meal. So if I just grab a full shulker box of bone meal from this farm, I can go start upgrading the ground. I have to be careful of 2 things though. Because this island is not 1-to-1 scale, most of its area will be covered with builds. And because I don't want to waste bone meal and later have to remove that grass, I need to avoid areas planned for building. It would have been really nice if I didn't have to do it right now. And the second thing is moss. If I accidentally click on it, it will turn all surrounding blocks into moss. And if I do that too many times, this whole island will feel like a lush cave. And I really don't want that. Anyways, that is the whole island bone meal, meaning we are 5% done with the island contents. Next up, bridges. Chapter 2 had 5 named bridges, that being purple, red, yellow, green, and blue. But here I also want to build this classic bridge next to Lazy Lake. But let's do the colored one first. So I grabbed some gray concrete to mark all the roads where the bridges will go. But how am I supposed to build that in Minecraft, considering it's like 7 blocks wide in my world? So I came up with this design, and before you laugh at me, let me try it with shaders. Nope, still trash. But I don't think it can't be any better than this. So let's just go collect the materials. For yellow, we need bamboo fences, trapdoors, and fence gates, which I can easily get from this bamboo. For purple, it was especially difficult as there were no purple fences. So I basically took every purple block I knew and made it into a bridge. Then for red, I need this mangrove, some red banners, and red nether brick walls. Next blue, meaning light blue concrete, some warped items, and prismarine walls. And for green, I need this jungle and some concrete. Hopefully if I make a good enough edit out of this, people will like my bridges more. And lastly, this unnamed wooden bridge, which actually turned out pretty well, so I don't need to make an edit. As you can see, I usually try to make these builds as interesting as I can, but for this one, I don't know what to say. It's just a chair. When I wrote this down, I was convinced it was one of these massive chairs that you can edit, but apparently chapter 2 doesn't have those. Moving on to something more interesting. Camp Cod is a small island featuring items from the chapter 1 map, like this broken clock from Tilted Towers and much more. And props to them for collecting the most illegal removed banned items in survival Fortnite. I bet they will get millions of views. I've been waiting to use these blocks in a build for so long. This is copper trapdoor and copper grates, which are perfect for these old rusty locations. And now if I place some more copper type blocks, it looks like a pile of trash, but a good pile of trash. That was the goal. Now I'm gonna build this little watchtower, and this section of the island is fully done. Now if I place these targets, we have this shooting range just like on real Camp Cod. Here I can place copper trapdoors again, this deep slate water tower, and an andesite building. But for the roof, we're gonna use 3 more new blocks. Polished tough stairs, and regular tough stairs. And now the only thing left is this brick house with a dark oak roof. And that's Camp Cod, ladies and gentlemen. Next up, Cracky Cliffs, the first named location on this list. The building style is very similar to Lazy Lagoon and Happy Hamlet from chapter 1, which when converted to Minecraft is mostly made out of white terracotta, spruce, and bricks, except for the Sticks restaurant. But we'll get to that later, which weirdly enough is ran by fish people selling fish sticks. So I have all the spruce needed and the bricks are smelting over there. But in the meantime, I need to collect all the terracotta. And after only about 20 minutes, I have all the materials for most of this gorgeous town. So without much further ado, and no unnecessary digressions, additional preamble, and unwanted delays, let's get into it. First, I build the... Oh, it's done. So for the fish people's fish bar, we need some cobblestone, acacia, quartz, oak leaves, and stripped birch wood. Perfect. So if I just... Boom. That's Cracky Cliffs done. Next up, another named location, Dirty Docks, which partially resembles Dusty Depot from chapter 1. Generally, I never really like this location that much, except for that one clip I hit. Watch this. Yup, that was my actual video from 3 years ago. I started by building the base for the build, for which I needed to collect a bunch of tough blocks. Because Minecraft haven't made them useful for so long, I never bothered collecting these. Now I can build these 2 factories, then this brick building. Next, with some bamboo, I can build this container lift. And with some colorful terracotta, I can place these containers. Now I'm gonna place this oak sapling and this other building. Fun fact, in chapter 5 season 3, Epic added a location called Little Dirty Dock, which number 1 is a nice throwback to all the chapter 2 fans, and number 2 sounds really weird out of context. And finally, the classic orange crane where I hit my clip from. And that's Dirty Docks fully done. Remember when I invited 20 YouTubers to play Battle Royale on my map? Well, now you're invited too. As this video is released, I'm gonna go live on this channel and play Battle Royale on the OG map on zenith-mc.org. You can join on both Java and Bedrock on versions 1.20 or higher. I am beyond excited to do this, and I can't wait to see you all on my server. I'll remind you about this at the end. Now back to the video. And now for the definite worst part of building islands, connecting it to the bottom of the ocean. For that, I need to AFK at the sand duper for like 2 hours, and just start placing. Unfortunately, there's no better way to do it. I just gotta place the sand. The reason why it's so annoying is that you're doing the same thing over and over for hours. And now that I've gone around the whole island, I can swim down and start placing the second layer. That's because real Minecraft islands have layers going gradually further away. And after 6 hours in total, the island is an island. Meaning we are 23% done with it. And now to switch things up, to do a little 180, to get a bit funky and mix it all up, I'm gonna place flowers and cacti around the whole island. So for flowers, the best way would probably be to get blue and red flowers so that the island gets a full color palette. Because iron golems drop poppies, for some reason, I have plenty of them at my iron farm. For blue, I can either get cornflowers from plains or blue orchids from a swamp. Now, swamps are much harder to find, but I think orchids are much prettier, so I'm gonna get those. Okay, there's my nearest swamp. So I think if I set up this machine that bone meals the grass, making it grow flowers, and then pushes that grass, bringing all the items, I can get these in no time. So with a full shulker box of these flowers, I got to placing. I gotta say, this was the most peaceful experience I've had so far in this project. Placing these flowers took me back to my childhood when I would plant myself inside, watch YouTube, and never go outside. Moving on to cacti. I've had this farm running for so long, I have like 10,000 cacti here, but we only need like a stack. And now if I grab some concrete powder, I can dump it into the ocean. I don't know how to feel about this part. You see, you can't place cacti on sandstone, but 14 islands ago I figured out that if you break sandstone where you want to place cacti, and then place concrete powder, it will stack on top of water, allowing you to place sand, which cacti luckily tolerates. So after polluting the ocean more than China and USA combined, we have all the cacti placed, meaning the whole island is flowered and cacti. It's really all coming together. Okay, by now Eddie should have sent us the game engine. Where is he? I think he quit. What? Okay, maybe this alphabetical thing wasn't my best idea. Frenzy Farm, a combination of Fatal Fields and Anarchy Acres from Chapter 1. You can see the resemblance of both of these locations, like this house from Fatal Fields and this barn from Anarchy Acres. I already built both of these locations in my world, but the design is kinda, so I'm gonna try to improve on it with Frenzy Farm. First, I want to build all the farms. So if I place this mossy cobblestone slab, I can hide water under it. This makes it so that crops can grow 4 blocks in every direction from it, meaning there won't be any awkward water blocks sitting in the middle of each farm. Now I can turn this area into farmland and repeat that process for 2 more farms. Now I can plant the crops and finally place fences around them. Next, I'm gonna build the barn, which I borrowed from Ludendorff on my GTA 5 island, but changed the colors to match the one at Frenzy Farm. This one is mostly made out of acacia, quartz, and diorite, which were fairly easy to collect. And finally, I'm gonna build a big farmer's house, for which I need loads of stripped birch wood, spruce planks, tough stairs, and some other easy items. Frenzy Farm is the biggest location when it comes to area, but it's actually one of the easiest ones to build. The really difficult ones like Lazy Lake or Sweaty Sands are still coming later. Comment down below, Zenith is a big, tough guy if you like the new tough blocks in Minecraft. Okay, what am I doing? Moving on to Holly Hedges. Like the name suggests, the build is surrounded by hedges, aka bushes, aka oak leaves. It has a lot of small houses, each in a different color, and a garden center in the middle. So I'm gonna start with the garden center, and then we'll use 6 different wood types to build the surrounding houses. So I grabbed some bricks, deep slate, and copper, and recreated this simple building. Now we need 6 wood variants, and from each we need planks, stripped wood, and doors. First bamboo, then oak, crimson, acacia, cherry, and mangrove. And finally for the roofs we need blackstone, stone, and tuff, meaning I can go finish Holly Hedges. Next up, Homely Hills, a location north of Pleasant Park featuring 5 different colored houses, meaning once again we need to get different blocks for each house. For blue, I need warped planks. For green, I need lime terracotta. The red house is made out of mangrove, white is diorite, and yellow bamboo. And that's Homely Hills. Hydro 16, the 13th location on my list. This location features a massive hydro dam and a power building that feeds water from the river to Slurpy Swamp. For the building we need mostly bricks, some deep slate, grey concrete, cut copper blocks, and iron bars. For the dam all we need is smooth stone, and those are all the materials collected. So let's just... And that's Hydro 16. Damn. Lake Canoe is a small lake with a lodge and 3 docks. Let's start with the yellow lodge. As usual, for yellow builds we need bamboo, and I have loads of it now. So let's quickly build that house. And now I can place a couple spruce slabs to make the docks and add small buildings next to them. And while we're at it, let's build this canoe on the lake. Right now it's just floating, but later when we add water everywhere, it will look sick. Generally, it was a pretty easy location to build, nothing crazy going on. Lazy Lake, the tilted towers of chapter 2. I never chose to land here because of the sheer chaos that this place brought. If you landed elsewhere and suddenly half of the lobby was gone before you opened your first chest, you knew exactly where all these people went. I know I spent hours collecting this grass and moss, but for this town I need to replace most of it with smooth stone where buildings will go, and grey concrete and stone for the roads. So let's do all these buildings, starting with the smallest ones, meaning these 2 houses with slanted roofs. Then this tiny restaurant with an outside dining area. Next the simple modern house, then another simple modern house, this one with a yellow accent. Next this not so simple modern house, for which I needed to go to the end to get all the sandstone. Now this no sweat insurance building made with smooth stone and light gray concrete powder. And finally the tallest building in Lazy Lake, which in Fortnite looks the most like it's made out of tough bricks. So I had to collect those, meaning I could go and finish that location. Contrary to Lazy Lake Island is a painfully simple location to build. First I built this copper pile of trash, then this helipad, this dock, this pile of rocks, and finally this house with a broken roof. Moving on to something slightly harder, Lucky's lighthouse. First I grabbed some red and white concrete to make the shell of the build. Now I can add this painfully long staircase with some oak slabs. Now add the door and the windows, and finally set up this top area. And now I want to make this lighthouse actually work. So if I make these repeaters activate themselves like this, and add this observer with redstone on top, I can make it light up in circles. And that's Lucky's lighthouse. When chapter 2 first came out, Misty Meadows was my favorite location. I even made a video 4 years ago ranking every named location in chapter 2. And after giving Misty Meadows the #1 rank, I finished the video by stating, just land there and feel the gorgeousness. Wouldn't have said it better now. For these logs I need loads of stripped spruce. Why do I still not have a way to do it automatically? Now for every roof I'm gonna craft all the brick stairs. And for the colorful walls I'm gonna collect a bunch of terracotta blocks. I started by building the road and preparing the ground for buildings. Same as Cracky Cliffs, Misty Meadows is very similar to Happy Hamlet from chapter 1. Out of all the locations, this place received the least amount of updates throughout the seasons and lasted till the very end of chapter 2. Can you feel the gorgeousness? Pleasant Park is a location that has been in the game since the very beginning, meaning over 7 years ago. I already built this location, but to be honest, this design sucks and it doesn't even include every building. So for this one, I really need to step up my game. I started by marking the roads and making space for all the builds. This location has 8 houses, a gas station, a football field, and a park. I'm gonna start with the football field, which in chapter 2 season 2 partially descended, revealing a secret hideout. So we're gonna recreate that too. First I need some lime and white concrete powder for the pitch itself, and gray concrete and stone bricks for the hideout. With that I can go and build it. I also added the goalpost with white concrete and glass panes. Now if I grab some azalea leaves and other materials, I can build this park. Now this simple gas station, and now onto the 8 houses. First I grabbed some bricks and tuff to build the 2 brick houses, appropriately named Brick House and Smaller Brick House. Then I started building the 2 yellow houses with bamboo and polished tuff. The second one with a cool chimney. Now with polished diorite and polished andesite, I got to building the 2 white houses. The second one with a balcony. Then I quickly built this greenhouse with jungle planks and bricks. And finally, this modern house using light blue concrete powder. I say this is a huge improvement. Another location that was brought from chapter 1 was Retail Row. This place has a lot of roads, meaning once again we need to replace parts of the ground with grey concrete. And next we'll build 9 features of this town, starting with the McGuffin's bookstore. For this building I just used bricks, quartz, and deep slate, but for the front sign I decided to place chiseled bookshelves and spell out books in them. And I also added green and white banners for the Jolly's Cafe right next to it. This next building holds the Big Shots bar and the Nom's grocery store, for which I needed to make these yellow banners with letters. And then I also added green and white banners for Big Shots and light blue and white banners for Noms. Then I added this very colorful taco stand. Next this iconic water tower using copper blocks. It will look much better once it oxidizes. Then this very accurately named small brick house. Next the yellow house. Then this simple blue house. And finally this big brick house with a small basketball court attached to it. And that's Retail Row done, putting us at 58% with the total things to do. Risky Reels is an iconic location from chapter 1. It's a drive-in theater that once held a Star Wars event and often played countdowns for events on the main screen. I'm gonna start with a fence around the whole thing. Then this birch house with a balcony and a diorite roof. And now this alien looking thing, which, don't worry, it's just a staircase. But now I can place the screen using white concrete, and the only thing left are the cars, which I once again took from my GTA 5 map and tried to fit as many inside as I could. This guy is gonna have to have his neck turned for the whole movie. Next up, finally something that isn't a massive named location. Rivers. So I grabbed 2 water buckets and started filling in all the rivers. This step made me realize just how many rivers were in chapter 2, which meant this part took longer than I expected. But it was kind of fun nonetheless. This step will significantly improve the visual look of the island, like making this canoe actually float or finally adding some life to the swamp. And now we can also use the Hydro 16 dam to quickly traverse down. This island looks absolutely beautiful. Make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this. Next we have a streak of 10 massive locations in a row, starting with Salty Springs, where there are 5 houses and a gas station. I always found this location to be extremely boring and uninspiring. Yeah, that's it. I just wanted to say that. First, I built the gas station. For the gas pumps, I used red sandstone walls and deep slate and quartz for the roof. Next, I added roads around which we'll place houses. Then I crafted white and light blue concrete powder to build a white house and a blue house. Now I need even more bricks and tuff. Oh, welcome the new member of Stupidly Expensive Trees to build the 3 brick houses, and that's Salty Springs. Now Slurpy Swamp. In chapter 2, Epic introduced the Slurp barrels, which gave you shields once broken, and this location had loads of it, meaning unlike Lazy Lake or Salty Springs, if you came out of here alive, you actually had full health. As always, I started with the road, but this time to make it more visible around mud, I added andesite stairs. Then I moved on to the warehouses, which kinda made me realize how boring these buildings were. But I think because of how new this biome and the slurp mechanic was, no one would consider this location boring. Then I moved on to the tallest factory building. The smoke is really helping to sell this build. And then I added these slurp barrels, which once again will look much better when they're oxidized in silver. Yeah, that's awesome, right? To finally spice up the opposite corner of the map, Steamy Stacks, a power plant owned by Kevolution Energy that used Kevin the Cube powers to supply energy to the whole island. It's mostly known for their massive towers, so I'm gonna start with them because I think I have a cool idea for it. Let's start by marking the 2 circles where the towers will go, and digging out an area below it. Now if I place black concrete inside, we have black. Stick with me for a second. Now I can place Froglight at the bottom and start placing purple and magenta glass on top. And finally adding water on top. Maybe no water? Yeah, that's awesome. Now for the towers. The only way to make it look somewhat correct was to use quartz blocks because it offers white slabs and stairs. I think the smoke is the only reason why it doesn't look like a castle. Now I can mark the roads and start placing the other building, for which I needed to craft the stupidly expensive tinted glass. And finally I built the fence around the whole thing. Moving on to something that isn't a massive environmentally challenging factory, Sweaty Sands. This one kinda reminds me of Los Santos from GTA 5, so let's go look at it for inspiration. Why did I show this to you? Now the Fortnite island will look tiny. I hate to be repetitive, but this location will once again start by me marking the roads and pavements, as it's important that later we can actually fit every build inside. Then I moved on to the pier, for which I need a bunch of oak items and finally some light blue concrete, warped slabs and sandstone for the ice cream stand at the end. Next I built this small gas station, and next to it this skate park with deadly ramps and yeah, no, I'm pretty sure this one is wheelchair friendly. Next I built these 3 beach houses with bars attached to them separated by a parking lot. Next is RV park where I could only fit 3 RVs, which once again are from the GTA 5 map. Then this small house, and next this club. Then I started building the Grand Hotel with an outside walkway to a pool with a great view. I would love to spend my vacation here. I remember when Fortnite created first release and the first thing I did was build a massive hotel inspired by the one in Paradise Palms. And finally I placed some towels and umbrellas on the beach. In chapter 1, one of my favorite locations was Paradise Palms, which was very similar to this. So when chapter 2 came out, I was often landing here. And in my video ranking every location, I put Sweaty Sands at number 2. And that's Sweaty Sands done. Next we have 6 locations that start with the, meaning they're a big deal. That being the Agency, the Grotto, the Orchard, the Rig, the Shark, the Yacht. What was the first one? The Agency, the HQ of Midas, the main character of that season. This location played an important role in the entirety of chapter 2. Below the Agency, Midas tried to build a device that will stop the storm, ending the infinite loop of the Fortnite game. Instead, the storm turned into water, flooding the island, which transitioned to season 3. When I was designing the Agency, I realized that the only blocks that would fit that building style were quartz bricks, and I need almost 1,000 of them. You can get quartz from either mining it in the nether, trading with villagers, or bartering with piglins. I already have a setup where I can AFK the gold farm and then go straight to 100 trapped piglins and trade with them. And this machine will filter all the items, giving me only quartz. So now I need to AFK here for an hour or 2 until I get all the quartz. And after about 2 hours in total, I have all the quartz needed. Now I just need to collect deep slate, andesite, and craft black stained glass panes. Cool thing about building the Agency was that I didn't need to prepare the ground or build different houses. Plus, it only used 7 different blocks for the whole build, which always makes building easier. And that's the Agency. It looks scary. Like intended. The Grotto was the first fully underground location in Fortnite, which was guarded by Brutus, the scary guy with a mythic minigun. So here's where the Grotto will go, but when we go under the map, it looks like this, and we need to make it look like a massive cave. So I AFK'd this stone generator until I had all the stone, and also grabbed some pointed dripstone. I first made the outside look more like a skull, just like on the real Grotto, and then I started placing stone around the walls inside of the cave. I wanted to cover every part of the ground so that this cave feels more immersive. This step took a lot longer than I would have wanted. Next I grabbed deep slate, smooth stone and copper and built the base area, which was a lot easier than the cave. I also placed this ladder for an easy way out and also added this quick way down, but for this one you need to pull off a trick shot. Let's go. The orchard is the last POI on this list. It features a market, a barn, a house, and 2 farms. For the farms, I used mossy cobblestone again to hide the water. Then I built a fence around the whole thing. And now I need to collect some diorite, andesite, deep slate, and tuff. And I can go build everything. I know it's not really an orchard without the trees, but that's a whole another step for later. So I'm gonna leave it as that for now. Perfect, that was pretty easy. The rig, on the other hand, is a massive oil rig and a base for one of the Season 2 bosses, Tiantina. Let's start by marking where all the platforms will go. So I have all the concrete and deep slate for the whole build. But I need to go collect quartz and craft all the copper blocks needed. So I went and quickly built it. Turns out the rig wasn't as difficult as I thought. But lastly, let's add this Tiantina. That looks so goofy. I risked my life for this single joke. But now we've done 30 out of 34 things to do, putting us at 88%. The shark. A massive maximum security prison on a shark-shaped rock, one of the coolest locations from chapter 2. In one of my old videos, I got a win here because the last guy died to a shark. How ironic. The most challenging part of this location was getting the shark shape correct. Contrary to popular belief, I'm actually not a great builder. But after a lot of trial and error, I finally got something that resembles a shark. And now I need to AFK the stone generator and get dripstone for the scary shark teeth. And now I can build this rock. Yo, that's awesome. But now onto the prison. First I built these 4 watchtowers, then the 3 buildings for prison cells, and finally these 2 fenced out areas outside, one for walking and the other one for basketball. And that's the shark. The yacht is another really cool location. It started as a base for meowsicles, but later in the season it was taken over by Deadpool and turned red. But we're gonna build the old white one. For this location we need a bunch of quartz and white concrete for the shell of the yacht. Now a lot of spruce for the floors, and some other fairly simple materials, meaning I could go and build it. This build was designed by Constantinople on Minecraft schematics, but to match the one from Fortnite I changed some of the colors and added this yellow helipad at the front. Also, for safety purposes, let's remove the water from inside the yacht. And that's the yacht fully built. Now for potentially the most important step for making this island actually look like Fortnite. Trees. So I want to do oak and birch trees for most of the map, except for the swamp, the areas near the beach, and the snow, where I need mangrove, acacia, and spruce. So I first went to a forest biome and started collecting oak and birch saplings with a Fortune 3 hoe. Unfortunately, this still took a long time, and those are only the 2 out of 5 saplings we need. Now let's repair my hoe with this portable XP farm. For mangrove, I went to the swamp and gathered all the mangrove propagules. Oh hey there, little buddy. Next, acacia. I'm sorry to all the environment activists. I promise I'm on your side. And now it's just spruce left. And with a log full of saplings, I got to placing. The last location on this list is Weeping Woods, which is literally a forest, meaning we're doing most of the job for it already, but I still have the rest of the island to do. This step went flawlessly for the most part, except for mangrove, which just refused to grow no matter what, so I just placed oak saplings in the swamp instead. And with this sapling placed in bone meal, the island is 97% done, only leaving us with a couple houses in Weeping Woods. Finishing this project feels a bit surreal. This island means so much to me, it's hard to put it into words, but I hope this video gave it justice. If you're watching this within the first couple hours, you can join my livestream and play Battle Royale with me on the OG Fortnite island. If not, you can play at any time at zenith-mc.org. I just finished building this chapter 2 map, so it's not ready for the server yet, but it will be for the next stream, so stay tuned. If this video gets 100,000 likes, I'm gonna recreate chapter 3.